Hi, my name is Bente, I'm the Norse Witch, and service announcement, full moon in Libra is coming up. So even though I am still like a tiny little bit sick, I still feel very raspy and I'm still like huffing and puffing and coughing all over the place. I still, of course, wanted to make this video for you so that we can look at the full moon in Libra together and how we can use that for our magical practice. Of course, as always, let's first look at when this full moon actually is. In Central European time, it will be on Monday, March 25th at 8 AM, in Eastern time on Monday, March 25th at 3 AM, and in Pacific time on Monday, March 25th at 12 AM. But now let's look at the zodiac sign Libra. Libra is a cardinal air sign ruled by Venus, and it's represented by the scales. So of course that kind of gives you a feeling of balance and harmony, but also justice, and that is not everything, but a lot of what Libra is about. So Libra want harmony and balance. They want everyone to be happy, they want everyone to live in harmony with each other. They hate fights. Do not put a Libra in a room where there's a fight going on. They hate it. And they will usually, because they are also very driven by justice, they will usually be the mediator in a fight. Libras try to avoid fights, like being a participator in a fight. But if they have to, they will be the mediator. They will be the person who tries to settle the dispute, who tries to, be the mediator and get everyone back to liking each other. So that's why Libras are usually seen as very friendly. They're usually very nice to other people. They're usually not rude or anything like that because they are usually quite the people pleasers. They just want people to be happy. And hello, Chique. Welcome. Hi. Chique is also quite the Libra. No, Chique is actually very much a Taurus. Very much food driven and a little bit lazy. But Libras just want everyone to be happy, and that's why they are sometimes quite the people pleasers, but that's also why people usually really like Libras. So if you have a Libra rising, then you are usually a people's person. You are usually, please don't sit on my tea, thanks. They're usually liked by everyone around them. For example, my fiance actually is a Libra rising, and it shows everyone loves him and he's just very easygoing. So that's a Libra, especially a Libra rising. But in my personal experience, a Libra is not always in balance. So I always see it as Libras being either scales that are in balance, they are very chill, very relaxed, very easygoing, or they are very much not in balance and then shit is going down. Libras are very chill and very easygoing for a long time until the scales tip and then run. They are, of course, as I said, ruled by the planet Venus. And Venus, if you know about the planets, is all about love and beauty, aesthetics. Everything is nice and frilly, you know. So Libras usually love arts. They're not usually the people who do the arts. They can, of course, but they're not necessarily the artists themselves, but they love looking at art. They love admiring art. They love having art around, and not only art, they love everything that involves the senses and being sensual, because that is a very much a Venus thing, being sensual. So Libras just like to include their senses and use them and observe nice things. So that can be art. You will find Libras in art museums, but that can also be classical music, or that could be a very good wine or very good food. Not necessarily like soul food, but like the good fancy food, you know? The good stuff, the treat yourself stuff. And for a lot of Libras, that also shows in them having a very fashionable style, or their house or their flat being very chic and very fashionable. A lot of people kind of reduce Libras to that and being very flirty because they like people liking them. But there is much more to a Libra than just the outsides, you know. It's not just being flirty and being fashionable, but for a lot of Libras that is the case. If you see someone who's like very chic, then a lot of the case it's either a Libra sun or rising. The people pleasing and wanting everyone to like them thing sometimes also manifests in them being flirts, and sometimes being flirts to people they actually aren't even interested in, simply because they just overdo it a little bit. So Libras are kind of seen as a little bit flirty. And they're also, that's my personal observation, but I feel like a lot of people can attest to that, Libras are very indecisive. Wow, it's kind of like they have the scales and you put them in front of a decision, either or, they will not be able to decide. Wow, never try to let a Libra decide anything, they can't. But then what does all of that mean for a Libra full moon? So personally, I really like Libra full moons to be a very sensual experience, you know, very much dive into the Venus aspect. So for example, the ritual that I wrote for my patrons and my YouTube members for this month, if you're interested, then have a look at that, is a serenity ritual that involves all 5 senses. And of course you can do that with other kinds of intentions too, but I kind of felt like harmony and balance is such a Libra thing. So I thought I would combine the sensuality with the harmony and balance aspect in this serenity ritual. So include all 5 senses, no matter what you do. So that could be, for example, by taking a ritual bath, drinking a ritual tea or some other kind of ritual beverage that you have enchanted or stirred your intention into. That could be making some incense or like a simmer pot for the smell aspect. Basically, yeah, anything where you can involve your senses. In my experience, that works very, very well. Then, of course, I already hinted on it a little bit. Basically, any kind of balance spells to kind of bring the scales into balance again. But that doesn't necessarily have to be only like emotional balance. I kind of feel like that is what our minds hop to right away, is like emotional balance. But that could be any kind of balance, and that includes justice workings, of course. Like bring the justice into balance and like the power into a balance again. That could, of course, then also be like social justice spells or anything like that. But it could also be some kind of other balance. It could be your work-life balance or whatever. There are so many aspects that you could balance out if they are not currently in balance, and I feel like that's a great spell for a Libra full moon. Harmony, of course, also a great intention for a Libra full moon, especially if you tap into this like people-pleasing aspect of Libras and you make maybe some kind of enchanted jewelry piece for a friend, or you do some general harmony spell like a simmer pot or something for your home so that your entire family is nice and relaxed and chill. But in general, any kind of harmony workings I feel like are great, especially for like family and friends and everyone around you. But also yourself. Do not forget yourself. And then, of course, Venus ruled, we also have this huge beauty and self-care aspect. So any kind of beauty workings, maybe you want to enchant a face oil, you could enchant like a face cream so you can like draw sigils on your face with them to do any kind of beauty working, anything like that. I am not very familiar with like beauty spells or anything like that. I've never done that. I know it's a thing though, so if you want to do that, do that. Of course, with that related, you could also do a lot of glamours. So maybe you could enchant your favorite or most stylish piece of clothing, or you could just dress in a very intentional way that day, or do any other kinds of glamours. For some people, they also include like talismans and stuff as glamours, so you could do that. Anything like that. And when it comes to like the self-care aspect, of course, again, I already said, include the 5 senses, dive into the sensual aspect. So I kind of feel like a classic is just a ritual bath, or like a ritual bath with like a nice glass of wine, or treating yourself out for dinner. It doesn't necessarily have to be like overtly magical. It can be a very mundane thing. We don't necessarily always have to do like outwardly magical, in-your-face magical things on full moons. But anything that you deem self-care for you, because of course that will look very different to every single person, everything that you deem self-care could be something that you do this full moon. Especially if you do something like going to a concert or do an art museum or anything like that. And then lastly, I already talked about justice workings already, but I totally forgot to mention that, of course, that could potentially also be a more baneful working. Sometimes you don't have another chance to bring justice than by doing some kind of baneful working. So if you feel like that is your last chance to bring in justice, then you can of course do that. I would always say try different avenues first, different solutions, but if there is no other solution, then you could also use this full moon for like a justice kind of spell. Of course, you could also do that very, very nicely on a dark moon, but I kind of feel like with Libra, it also will probably work very well on a full moon. And those are all of my ideas and inspirations for a Libra full moon. Of course, as always, leave yours in the comments. And with that being said, let's do a little Patreon and YouTube member shout out. Thank you so much to Silent Selena, Richard, Jennifer, Ryan, Alex, Jess, Naomi, Shaw, Christiana, T. Demon, Elizabeth, Sylvia, Weir, Festira, Katrina, V, Bella, Derek, Smiley, Robin, Kirsten, Shannon, Andrew, Tisha, Sarah, Aziza, Carrie, August, Hannah, Shelby, Helena, SJ, Merle, Anne, Kate, Cade, Z, Kent, Brittany, Emerceline, Smokata, Josh, Elinura, Knarr, Christine, Rixie Business, Annalena, Svenna, Ashley, Tim, John, Phoenix, Jenny, Maggie, Misty, Amy, Bethany, Timothy, Coffee, or the honorary gossip squirrel, and last but not least, Bjorn. And now the YouTube members. Thank you so much to Mary Ann, Sydney Midnight, Betsy, Peony Rain, Milla, and KT. Thank you so much. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some inspiration and some ideas. If you did like it, then of course make sure to subscribe and give a thumbs up and ring the bell down below so you're notified whenever I upload a new video. Feel free to check out my other socials and especially my shop for ethically and sustainably sourced witchy wares. And if you want to support me and of course get access to my new moon rune spreads and my full moon rituals and spells, then make sure to check out my Patreon or my YouTube membership. And with that being said, I will see you in another video. Bye!